In this video, I want to talk about the 4 stages of the appellate process. And this really combines state and federal proceedings into one for purposes of this video, but this is in general the rights that someone has after they've been convicted and sentenced by the court. The first is the appeal. The appeal is like an instant replay as to what happened at the trial court level. You can review adverse rulings on motion to suppress. You can review adverse rulings on motions in limine. You can review any adverse rulings on objections raised by either party at trial. And you can also appeal the sufficiency of the evidence, and you can appeal the sufficiency of the sentence. And when the defense attorney does that, it's actually called making an excessive sentence claim. So that's the first stage, an appeal. When the appeal is over with, if the defendant lost, it again goes to what's called a post-conviction proceeding. This is done at the trial court level. And what you're doing here is you're not relitigating the appeal, you're not relitigating the trial. There's a few specific instances of things that you can challenge. The most common is ineffective assistance of counsel. The lawyer did not do a good job in plea bargaining or handling the trial or doing his motion practice. Something that the lawyer did was below the standard of care expected by attorneys, and you can show that it prejudiced the outcome of the case. Also in post-conviction, if you have some newly discovered evidence or you've uncovered some exculpatory evidence, you can present that here. Now let's assume you don't win post-conviction relief. What next? Well, now you start looking at your federal rights. You have the right to sue for relief in federal court, the federal court that oversees the jurisdiction where you were convicted. And that's called a federal habeas corpus petition. And in general, what you're doing is you're going into federal court and you're saying the state of Louisiana violated my federally protected constitutional rights in this way. Now, there's a very, very high burden placed on the defendant in these situations. In essence, they have to show that the state of Louisiana misapplied well-established federal precedent to your prejudice. So if there's a gray area in the law as to what should take place, you cannot raise that on a federal habeas anymore. So it has to be something that's well established. After the federal habeas process is over, you have the right to take a writ to the United States Supreme Court. Now that's rare, okay? Because the Supreme Court's not necessarily looking for justice in your particular case. They're gonna look for big picture items. If I resolve this case, what effect that will have on the criminal justice process as a whole? Or do I need to resolve this case because there is a split among federal circuits over some issue, okay? And you can actually do the writ to the United States Supreme Court after you have done your state post-conviction. You don't necessarily need to do the federal habeas route. And in some clients, I tell them not to do habeas because we're not looking to challenge well-established federal precedent that was applied right. We're either looking to challenge the propriety of that precedent today, or that precedent as applied to you, or we're saying, hey, there's a gray area of the law here that we think could resolve favorably for you, okay? So those are the 4 types of appellate processes that take place, 2 in state court, 2 in federal court. If you have any questions, you can email me or call me at the links below.